Whole Health Core, video number 12 on relationships. A key element of self-care deals with relationships. David Brooks, a popular commentator on our day and age, identifies loneliness as the most significant problem of our day. Here's what Mr. Brooks says about loneliness. 35% of Americans over 45 are chronically lonely. Only 8% of Americans report having important conversations with their neighbors in a given year. In 1950, less than 10% of households were single-person households. Now, nearly 30% are. The majority of children born into households, born to women under 30, are born into single-parent households. These are symptoms of a general detachment. The fastest growing political group is unaffiliated. The fastest growing religious group is unaffiliated. Researchers in Britain asked pastors to describe the most common issue they have to deal with their parishioners. 76% said loneliness and mental health. The former Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, wrote in the Harvard Business Review, "During my years of caring for patients, the most common pathology I saw was not heart disease or diabetes, it was loneliness. The psychological, social, and moral toil caused by this detachment is horrific. Since 1999, the suicide rate has risen by 30%. The plague hit the young hard. Between 2006 and 2016, suicide rates for those between ages of 10 and 17 rose by 70%. Roughly 45,000 Americans kill themselves every year, and suicide is largely a proxy for loneliness. Opioids kill an additional 72,000 Americans every year, and opioid addiction is a slow-motion suicide. In 2018, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced that the span of life of an American had declined for the third consecutive year, an absolutely stunning trend. In affluent, cohesive societies, lifespans get gradually longer as a matter of course. In the last time the American lifestyle contracted for this length of time was in 1915 to 1918. When the country was enduring a world war and a flu epidemic that killed 675,000 Americans. The reason American lives are shorter today is the increase in the so-called deaths of despair, suicide, drug overdose, liver problems, and so on. And those in turn are caused by social isolation that is all around us. David Brooks, New York Times. A key component of whole health and of whole health core is building community. A sense of community emerges when teams together accomplish a mission. Just as the military builds bonds called battle buddies in combat, so whole health core builds teamwork and mutual respect as we grow together in a mutual mission. There is a powerful way of communicating, which is how we grow and maintain relationships. It's called nonviolent communication. Since Whole Health Core is a peacemaking mission, it's appropriate to have a style of communication that is peacemaking. We continue with a video that explains the basics of nonviolent communication.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. Today's big idea comes from Marshall Rosenberg and his pioneering book, Nonviolent Communication. As always, we hope we can inspire you, help you grow your mind, and motivate you to be the best you. In the book, Rosenberg shares with us a better way of communicating with others. He calls it nonviolent communication, a language of life. Communication is a fundamental building block of everyday life. If we want to function well in society, we need to learn to communicate effectively with the people surrounding us. Often when we communicate with others, irrational conflicts and misunderstandings arise, and we end up leaving conversations feeling disregarded or in despair. This is where nonviolent communication enters the stage. At its core is the belief that all human beings have the capacity for compassion and empathy. We only resort to harmful behavior when we don't identify more effective strategies. The purpose of nonviolent communication is to help us connect with ourselves and others in a way that makes compassionate given natural. It is not about convincing people to do what we want, but to create a connection with another person where everyone's needs are met. Nonviolent communication is a way to resolve differences peacefully. It is all about empathetical listening and honest expressing. It teaches us to understand and express our feelings and to hear our own deeper needs and those of others. It evolves around two fundamental questions. Number one, what is alive in you? Or put another way, what are you feeling? Number two, what would make your life more wonderful? Meaning, what unfulfilled needs do you have that I can help you meet? It seems straightforward, but expressing emotions and needs is not easy. Many of us have never learned to acknowledge our own feelings. We have grown up being told things like, boys aren't scared, or girls shouldn't get angry. And as a result, many people hide how they actually feel, even from themselves. Nonviolent communication helps us to communicate our feelings clearly. Nonviolent communication distinguishes between real expression of emotions and statements which are in fact descriptions of what we are thinking, not what we are feeling. Let us give you a couple of examples where people think they are expressing a feeling, when in fact they are expressing an opinion, a criticism, or a moral judgment. Number one, when I feel is followed by that, like, or as if. For example, I feel like you should know better. Number two, when I feel is used together with pronouns. For example, I feel I am constantly working. Number three, when I feel is used with names or nouns. For example, referring to people, I feel Amy has acted irresponsibly. None of these statements is actually letting the other person know what you are feeling. Instead, you should simply name the emotion you are feeling without any judgment. For example, I feel sad because, or I feel angry since, and so on. Expressing our feelings clearly is very important, but we need to also express the need behind the feeling by making a clear request of what we want from the other person. Judgments, criticisms, and interpretations of others are all estranged expressions of our needs. And when we use them, we imply that the person in front of us is behaving wrongly, when in fact we all know is that the person isn't acting according to our beliefs and values. If someone says, "You never listen to me," it is them telling you that their need to be heard is not being met. But because the statement is made as a judgment, the recipient is likely to hear criticism. And criticism often leads to self-defense and counterattacking instead of understanding. The more directly we can connect our feelings and our needs, the easier it is for others to respond compassionately. So, focus on your own needs instead of on what is wrong with others. Imagine an interaction between two colleagues, Alan and Bart. They have a meeting scheduled for 1 p.m. Alan arrives to the meeting on time. Bart, however, doesn't arrive until 1:15 p.m., leaving Alan frustrated. As soon as Bart enters the room, Alan blurts out, "It is really annoying that you are always late for meetings. You are an irresponsible person." If Alan was familiar with nonviolent communication, the conversation could go like this instead. "I feel angry because you are late. I would like to start the meeting on time, since it will otherwise disrupt my calendar for the rest of the day. Can I please ask you to be on time for our next meeting?" Nonviolent communication also teaches us that we cannot be responsible for each other's feelings, but we can be responsible for how we choose to react. Let's end the video with a tip on how to best express our needs. Instead of expressing our needs with a kick-me attitude that implies that they are a burden, Rosenberg suggests that we use a Santa Claus attitude, showing the world that our needs are a precious gift. We hope you have enjoyed this video on Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication. Please remember to give the video a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support is our happiness. Take care, and we will see you soon.
Nonviolent communication model is simple and yet not easy. Just as swimming is simple, it's not easy until one takes the plunge. And it's the same with nonviolent communication. The next video deals with the purpose of nonviolent communication, and it actually has several portions in there with Marshall Rosenberg himself, the founder of the approach.
The purpose of nonviolent communication is to help you to do what you already know how to do. To connect in a way that makes natural giving possible. You all know that giving. You know how to do it. Remembering to stay with that quality of giving, moment by moment in any connection. But we also all know that it's easy to lose it. It's easy to lose that connection. So that instead of enjoying that quality of giving, which is possible every moment in every contact we have, in spite of how precious that is, we forget it. And instead of playing the game, making life wonderful, much of the time we play another game called Who's Right? Have you ever played that game? It's a game where everybody loses. So isn't this amazing that we all know about this quality of giving? It's possible every moment. We find that the richest thing to do. And much of our life, we end up playing Who's Right. Now, the game of Who's Right involves two of the most devious things human beings have ever come upon. One, punishment. Because if you're wrong in the game of Who's Right, then you deserve to suffer. There's no more punishment. You won't do it in your families. We'll get rid of it with criminals. It just makes things more violent. We'll find other ways to deal with other nations besides punishment. No more punishment. No more reward. It's the same game. Part of the game of Who's Right. If you're right, then you get rewarded. If you're wrong, you get punished. No more. No more. It's created enough violence on the planet. We've been educated for quite a while to make violence enjoyable. And educated in a way we can even be violent to our children. Watch a parent try to bring about change in the child. Say you're sorry. I'm sorry. You're not really sorry. I can see it. You're not really sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I forgive you. Can you imagine a game like that? Can you imagine a parent responding to a child that way? And if a parent is going to do that to a child in their own family, what are they going to do to people from other cultures who behave in a way they don't appreciate? So of course you're going to have violence wherever you have this kind of thinking. It's learning how to go up to our head and think basically in terms of right and wrong, good and bad, normal, abnormal. You see, natural giving, anything we do in life that isn't coming out of that energy, we pay for it and everybody else pays for it. Anything we do out of fear of punishment, if we don't, everybody pays for it. Anything we do for a reward, everybody pays for it. Everything we do to make people like us, everybody pays for it. Everything we do out of guilt, shame, duty, obligation, everybody pays for it. isn't what we were designed for. We were designed to enjoy giving and give from the heart.
Mindfulness is a core skill of Whole Health and Whole Health Core. To slow down and to become aware of one's own needs, values, and feelings enables one to attend to the other's needs, values, and feelings. Needless to say, this takes a good deal of practice, but as one feels the joy of authentic communication, the motive to grow in the approach increases. This is Whole Health Core. Just as Whole Health Core is a journey, a quest for discovery of one's whole health, in the same way, nonviolent communication is an approach to relationships that is a journey of discovery, of learning what Marshall Rosenberg calls compassionate communication.